Boom.
Hello, this is James Helm of Helm Enterprises Grinding Division, which, oddly enough, takes place in the same building as Helm Enterprises Forging Division. I'm just going to show you how I do Tomahawk angles. Cats are not involved. So I'm going to start with pre-drilled and countersunk handle slabs. It's always a good idea to mark which side is the top of the handle, so you don't fumble around too much. We'll go from those slabs to finished handles. It's not going to change color from black to tan though.
It would be cool if it did.
It'd be cool if it did, but it's not going to. Alright, I'm going to start out with one slab, and I have these standoffs that are threaded inside. Got 3 of them. And then once everything's together, I'll put the machine screw in the other side. I'll start with the 3 standoffs. You can see that the holes are countersunk where the heads of the machine screw fits all the way, actually a little less than flush. And then when I replace these with flared tube rivets, when I do the actual handle mounting on the Tomahawk, then the heads of the rivets will flare out and fill that countersunk space. So I've got the 3 in place, flip it over, and I have a handy jig that is water jetted from 1/2-inch plate. This is the same shape as the Tomahawk handles. So I see that my top end is on this side because we cleverly marked it with a Sharpie before drilling the holes. Oh, forgot to put my spacer in place. This is just thick Kydex. It's like 0.093 Kydex or something like that. Put that on first, and then my jig, the next layer of Kydex, lay on the next slab, and then screw it together.
Why do you have the Kydex there, James?
I will explain momentarily.
You will explain now.
I'll explain momentarily.
Dang it.
Once I get this tightened up.
And for your enjoyment. Do, 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 do.
I'm not enjoying that.
Do. Okay. For my enjoyment. Do, 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 do. Or if you prefer.
Okay, I'm ready to explain now.
Okay.
You can stop. Alright, so we have our jig with a slab bolted on either side. I'm going to use a pair of routers. First the trim bit, and then the 45-degree bevel bit to shape it from being just a rectangular slab into being a rough-shaped handle. So the bearing is going to ride up against the jig and control how deep it cuts in. You can see there's a slight little space between the bearing and the top of the cutting blade. What the Kydex spacers do is give me enough play that the top of the blade can be above the handle slab without cutting into the steel. So that's a neat little trick that I learned from another guy on YouTube who I met in person that told me about his trick, and I've adopted it, and it makes life easier.
I believe they call that you met him IRL.
I met him at Blade. He makes awesome knives.
In real life.
I understand. Moving onwards.
YouTube's doesn't.
Put on my personal protective gear.
That's under his pants.
No, that's on my face.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got it rigged up where the 2 routers and the vacuum cleaner are all set up to turn on at the same time. So you'll hear both the routers and the vacuum running, I'm gonna do a step and then turn it off and explain. So first off, we're gonna trim one side to shape. So, we have one side profile trimmed, one side still needing to go. Originally, I was doing this with a 1/4 inch thick jig. Well, you couldn't put a slab on either side and have enough clearance for the bearing. So you could only do one at a time, and most of your time is spent in bolting and unbolting the slab to the jig. So next time I was at my water jetters, I had them cut it out a 1/2 inch, and now I can do 2 at a time and cut down the amount of time that's wasted in just attaching it and detaching the slab from the jig. You notice that this is a 5-hole jig versus my old 3-hole. So I've upgraded or updated my design to go from having 3 rivets to having 5 rivets. And there you go.
1, 2, 3. Action montante.
Now I'm going to trim the other side.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's showing up in the video audio or not, but these 2 routers going at once with the vacuum cleaner actually sounds a little bit like the sirens from the original Mad Max movie. Okay, so we got it trimmed to shape, both sides. Now we're going to move over here to the 45-degree bevel bit. And this is set as low as I can get and still have the bearing hitting the steel. So it's still going to shape the full width of this, but it's not going to bite too deep. Okay. And these are 2 different brand routers. I've got a Robe and a Craftsman. The Craftsman takes longer to spool up and get up to full speed. So let's get the handles rough shaped. That's the majority of the work that goes into them. See, there's a little spot that I need to run back over the router real quick. Are you feeling it?
Yes.
So rough shaping's done with the router, but if I leave it just a 45-degree bevel, that sharp edge is going to dig into your hand and be uncomfortable, raise blisters. So what I'm going to do next is go over to the slack belt on my belt grinder and blend that edge in. Not going to take off very much material at all. I don't think I mentioned the material I'm using. It's TerraTough. It is a material that's similar to micarta in that it is stacked up layers of cloth impregnated with the resin. In this case, it is both the cloth and the resin are polyester. It's actually tougher than micarta. It's a little grippier. It feels warmer to the touch, and in addition, it's healthier to work with in the shop, which is a nice little bonus. And I'm actually going to shoot a little video here in a second showing the difference between the toughness in micarta and TerraTough. But that's after we get through shaping the handle. So I'm going to work on the slack belt and knock the sharp edge off. So that's got one side done. I'm gonna have Tobin feel the difference between the side that's been smooth and the side that still has that sharp edge. What do you think?
No blister. Blister.
Yeah, makes a little bit of a change, but it makes a big difference in how comfortable it is. So now I'll get this side. Okay, that's got it. Now there's just a little bit of hand sanding to do. I have to go ahead and finish blending that in, make it a little nicer on the hand. So got some hunter grip. And you don't have to take much off. Okay, Tobin, the difference between the side that I did a little hand sanding and the side that was just the belt grinder?
You can tell the big difference. Actually, just by the blending and knocking it down a little bit more, that's going to be easier on the hand.
Yeah, so makes pretty good difference, even though there's not a whole lot of change. You can see it's just a little bit of hand sanding, not much even. The TerraTough actually sands quicker than the micarta does, also, which is a nice little bonus. So now I'm just going to take it off the jig, and there will still be some hand fitting to go on the Tomahawk, but the basic shaping of it, yeah, we've got it fairly standardized, goes relatively quickly. So it'll actually take longer to do the final fitting up than it did to do the main rough shaping that we just did. So, thank you.
He got jiggy with it. Nah, 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 nah. Nah.
Come here, shop kitty. This is the only cat I've ever seen that comes when you whistle. Come on down, shop kitty. Come out of the rafters. Meow meow. All No, she's looking at Callie. Callie's up in the rafters too.
Gosh.
Cat showdown. Is there her tail twitching?
No.
See it? Shop cat?
I see shop cat, but
Yeah, see her tail twitching? She's not happy about Callie being up in her territory. Meow meow, come on. Come on, shop cat. Oh, now you're just being coy.
James has a strange affinity for cats. It borders on illegal. Don't tell them that.
I'm gonna have to edit that part out.
No,
Seriously.
you're not. Oh, there's the cat.
Here, come here.
Yes.
Come here, shop kitty.
And so it was that on that day that this video was uploaded, the cat tax had been paid, and the gods were happy.
She got distracted by the food. Allie, don't you come start a fight. Okay. Enough cat nonsense.